Okay, so we are live.
Cool.
Live, and let's just wait for like Aaron to let us know if everything is okay, if the sound goes right. Okay. Oops. Let me also check. Can you check?
Yeah, I've
All
opened
good.
the link.
Oh, perfect. So this live
Yeah,
stream.
cool.
This live stream is a bit different because it's like an open discussion live stream. Okay, another one. Hello. Anyone can join. Anyone can join this live chat, so we can discuss about whatever. And
Yes.
I will share the.
Have you shared the link so people can join?
Yep,
If
I will share
anyone
now
wants
the link.
to join us and tell something, yeah.
Okay. And we can make this live chat in general about consumerism if people want to discuss about that. We have some interesting even videos from TROM about consumerism, and I see that someone else joined. If you have a webcam, if not, let us know.
Hey, can you see me?
Yeah. Is Sasha?
Yeah.
Hey. Sasha. Hey, Sasha.
Hey.
Hey, that's a nice surprise.
Is it working?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
What hour is there, Sasha?
I am now in Tatarstan and it is 10 o'clock.
Oh, so
it's not bad.
It's not that bad. It's not 3 a.m.
Although my body still thinks it's 3 a.m. so it's kind of...
Okay. Let me just share the links and then we can chat about stuff. And you can chat about stuff like consumerism is like it's a topic that Dima wanted to talk about this week.
Yeah, I think it's a good time to speak about consumerism since it's Christmas time and people spending a lot of money on presents and on buying stuff and just running all the time in the shops. So all the culture, all celebrations, all about shopping today. Not only culture, it's like whole society is about trading and buying and selling stuff, and it's also implemented in the same thinking and attitude on the all celebrations. So let's say, like in England, there's after the Christmas and the next day there's a Boxing Day, and that's the thing where it's basically like Black Friday, which is in America and some other countries, which is in America it's after Thanksgiving. So in England there's it's called Boxing Day, and shops have like huge discounts on some of the items, and the people just going there to buy stuff. Basically all the crazy videos you can find online when people rushing, it's either from Black Friday or Boxing Day. And stores might be open at night, like at 12 o'clock at night, or even like a day before at 11 p.m. or 10 p.m. or like 6 a.m. So people just go camping near the store to buy some stuff. And this actually is, from one thing is funny, from other thing is a bit sad, because you kind of understand why people do this, like they might be saving money to buy something because they don't have so much free money to buy something, so they wait for this discount, and then there's a lot of people. And actually, I was kind of researching a bit about Black Friday, and for the last couple of years there was like 12 people died, and thousands just have really high injuries because of that. And that's really sad. And so but that's the nature of the culture. I mean, I'm not blaming those people, because sometimes myself also, if I need to buy something, you're looking for cheaper options for discounts.
Even those discounts are pretty much a scam, because they inflate the prices in a way that it's not like they are going to lose any profits.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. But the way they also do, they kind of put huge discounts on just a limited amount of the items, and that's why people, go and they want to be there the first, because they know there will be like 100 TVs with like 70% discount, only 100. So that's why people, try to be there the first.
Mm-hmm. I've seen something interesting, like to make it legal, to make a huge discount, they have to put, let's say, a pair of shoes. They have to put officially the official price somewhere before they make the discount, so that they can check, and they put them online for a few hours on their websites, like put them 200 euros, and then in a few hours later, they're like 80% discount, just 60 euros or whatever. And people are buying this shit.
Yeah, they do this all the time, and we, people always buying this,
It's working.
like this trick. Yeah, it's working. Yeah, true. Then there's, and if we're speaking about these huge sales, like this Boxing Days and so on, other brands also do this. Like, let's say Apple is very famous of doing this, when they release like a new product, and there's like a huge crowd of people, and some people even come like 2 days in advance just to camp there and to be the first. And I remember the story with Apple. I was living in London like 10 years ago, and and I was like really poor. I was kind of busking on the street, and I never had money. And and there was a release of iPad, or I think it was like iPad, one of the iPads. And on internet, I didn't care about this at all, but I was constantly looking for some short-term jobs. Like in London, you can find some jobs on one day or so. And there was like advert, you have to go there to stand in a crowd, just to take a place. And then when it will be your turn, the guy will come and give you money, so you can buy stuff and give it back to him. So, they don't need to stand there.
I know, yeah.
That's an actual job.
Yeah. So they kind of
promised. I can stand.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, they even buy for many people. Like they buy 8 or 9 iPhones, and for some guys, they stay in line.
So the thing is, you cannot buy like many. I think that there was limited like of 2 or 3 items. So the guy, that was really crazy story, because the guy flew from Russia, so he hired like many guys like me. He paid me like 30 pounds. So it's about, I don't know, 35 euros today or so, just to stand there. So I was standing with my wife, and we were standing there. And then the guy came. He got like a like a huge bag, like this, the sport bags. And it opened it, and it was full of money. And this guy was like I don't know, from Russia, so he was buying lots of these iPads, and he flew back to Russia to sell them, because in Russia they released the same like iPad like few days after. So he would have this iPads. It's not for him. He would have this iPads one day before official release in Russia. So the guys do like crazy things like that.
And it's so funny that people would care about buying it first.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's all about just being cool, And I think this is a problem, just our society just makes people so insecure, and it feeds their security by making them buy stuff.
But then just think about this mentality. I mean, who cares if you buy this, iPad today, or I don't know, after 3 days, the store will be empty, and you can, come and buy the same product.
The ones who buy, the same money. The ones who buy, those are the ones who care, because it's their image. Like, I have the first iPhone, I have the first whatever it is. And companies know this, and that's why they make, I think, those big releases. Like, hey, on this date, we are going to release, and we have limited amount of products. So you kill each other and get the first.
And the thing is that usually these products aren't actually something that people need at all. And I don't know, just when you were talking about the whole thing, it also reminds me of Costco a little bit, because I hate Costco. I hate shopping. I hate going to like big shops, or especially the big ones. And My friends would always drag me there when I was living on Hawaii, just because I happened to be in their car, and I don't even like walking around the shop. But they're like, look, all the cheap stuff. But I look around, I'm like, I don't need any of this stuff, and it's only cheap if you buy it in bulk. And the thing is, you'll end up buying it in bulk. You'll end up buying more stuff. But you don't need all this stuff in the first place, you know. I don't need 10 packs of cookies, you know. It's just, it may be cheap, but you know, not important.
The same thing goes with like a free stuff, like a freebies, you know, when the brands give out some things. So for me as a musician, I've got so many t-shirts. I actually never buy a t-shirt because, you know, whenever you go to play like some festivals or concerts, all the time they want to give you t-shirts with the, you know, brands and so on. So, and when you kind of reject because you said, no, I've got lots of t-shirts, new t-shirts, I don't need so much, they kind of surprised. No, take it, you know, it's for free, it's a good t-shirt.
But how would you explain to an alien species, like, what is this thing, consumerism? Like, we are like ants who just are one stuff and bring us the stuff home and one more stuff, and what forces us to do this? Is like something innate into us, you know? Of course not.
It's like a disease.
Yeah,
you know, yeah, I think it's just the way our society built, because you basically trade your time. You know, we have one resource, it's time, and we trade it to get money. And money we can exchange on the things. So either you don't think, you know, your life are so lousy and wasted, so you at least, you know, spend money. You know, you spend the whole month working, most of the time of your life you spend at work, you got in exchange some money, so you have to spend it, you know, so it doesn't feel for you that the whole month, you know, was wasted. So you can buy at least something.
Because there is nothing else to do with the money anyways. When you get the money, you have to do something with the money, like buy stuff.
Why else do you need money?
You cannot eat.
Or with the time, hey.
Yeah.
You have time on Earth, you have to spend it working.
Yeah, that's the thing. But again, if you want to go somewhere or do something, you again need money. So it's all interconnected. But to buy something, it's easier than, you know, to go somewhere.
And I think it has become this consumerism thing so normal in our culture. Is like almost like the wind. It's like it's just there. It pushes you one way or the other. And people don't look at this as if it's something abnormal or it's something that they should do, but it's something part of their lives. Because if you take this away, imagine if people will have access to whatever they need and want. I think it will feel very strange for today's people, because they feel this value in acquiring stuff, and stuff is part of their life, their car, their home, their whatever digital stuff they buy. Everything is part of you. Because I had many discussions with people about this, and they say, even if you provide for free, everything for free, then you take the value away, because this is not mine anymore. You know, everyone has access to this transportation system, to this kind of houses. So in a way, it takes away their identity, and I think this is very harmful, a very harmful way of thinking that will not allow us to move to a saner society. That's why we also need education, because people will not even be comfortable with this, with everyone having access to whatever they need and want, even themselves.
Yeah, that's for me hard to kind of accept, because my thinking is totally different. But I know what you're telling. I also had some conversations, and I was explaining, you know, imagine if you have access, that people actually need access, not the thing itself, you know. And when you've got access, it's much more beneficial for you. You don't need to care for the thing. You don't need, you know, to look after it and maintain it and so on. And people still say, yeah, but I want to have thing. I want to have mine. So it's mine. And yeah, as you said, that's education, you know, of understanding why in the first place we want to own something, you know.
Because it's valuable to own in this world.
Yeah.
If you don't own anything, you don't have, it's like a game, you don't have anything in that game. You have zero. So you cannot trade anything, only perhaps your skills or your time.
But I mean, the more you own, the more you're worth, you know, the more respectable are you. That's why we have like billionaires who are respected. But actually, why would you respect, such sociopath who've got more money than, several countries? And why? What can you do with this money? I mean, how it's even possible? I mean, in a future world, if we would have, this, let's call it resource-based economy, like, to be billionaire, it would be something unacceptable. It would be something shameful, because how can you have so much when
hopefully
others don't have?
Hopefully not possible.
Yeah, of course it won't be possible. Yeah, I'm just telling this in perspective. I mean, the thinking, because today it's really respectful. Oh, you're millionaire. Oh, you're billionaire. Wow, it's so cool. You're so good guy. But what's good? I mean, where did you get these billions?
I think that you have to be smart to acquire some stuff.
No, you have to just close eyes and just exploit people. There is no other option. I mean, all the big brands, they all outsource their work in third world countries, in China, Bangladesh, India.
Yet people still respect so much companies like Apple, for example. Yeah. Even though Apple is like, they don't even pay taxes. They don't, like 1% instead of 35% in the US. So they are charlatans, they are scamming people, they are putting people's lives in danger, and they are enslaving other people in so many other countries. Yet people are looking at their products and they are like, oh, this is so marvelous. This is, look at this piece of technology.
That's and once people buy more and more of these products, they also form this identity, like you're talking. With the product
and the phones, I think the phones today could be like the perfect representation of people and consumerism, because it's like, it's their jewel. It's like their phone, or sometimes their car for some people, is like their representations, like, look what I have. That's why they buy a new one every year. It's unstoppable. That's the important part here, because this is not something you can get rid of in our trade-based society, because you get rid of this, you get rid of the entire system. It makes absolutely no sense. People have to consume today. If you don't consume, stuff is not getting produced. People don't have jobs. It's like we are so crazy. We have all of this stuff, but we just sit here and say, well, how can we distribute this? Because we have no jobs, we have no money, we have no... Yeah, but you have shit around. Try to distribute it in a way that is fair for people, and they can't. Their mentality.
Yeah, not when the aim is to make a profit.
Yeah, you can survive. We even have like a book and a video called "Consuming a Year," to showcase how every year is getting consumed, basically, because you consume it through school, through work, you consume it through the shit that you buy, holidays, every year after year, and it repeats in a loop, and it's very profitable for many people, like rich people, and it's very consuming for consumers, because that's what they do. Every mall is full of people when holidays are coming. Every shop, it's, even though I was looking these days at a supermarket, and it's so full of stuff. Every time it's full of stuff. If you could take all of the stuff that is in supermarkets at all time, I think we will have so much surplus of food that is beyond imagination.
Yeah, I can tell you a story about this from my experience. So yeah, back in London, also was living in a squats. So that's basically abandoned houses where you can kind of break in and leave until your police won't, evict you, like officially or so. So I was living in this culture with the people who doesn't have any money at all. So basically, you're just stealing electricity, water. Like in London, I'm not sure if it's in all England, but in London, definitely, if person's living somewhere, they cannot cut the water. So by law, so you can just not pay for it and use the water. And basically, all the food we were taking from skipping. That's mean you go to the shops, like after closing, and just open the container, and they're usually full of food. Like really, I've seen literally, you open this like big green containers for rubbish. You open it, and there's like, it's full with unopened fresh food, like sandwiches, vegetables, everything in package. It's just like 5 minutes ago it was in the store for the same price, and now it's for free. So yeah, there was funny thing. Like in one shop, it was Waitrose, like popular chain in London. Like in one particular shop, almost every day it was full of sandwiches with eggs, like all the same sandwiches with eggs, really full. And it was like every day. And you just wonder why they have. So you do kind of research, and then you understand the politics, like why the brand's doing this. So in the shop they have this policy. So like in Waitrose, it's a bit more expensive shop, not as cheap as others. So they have this idea so that you came at any time, you could come at the store and the product always will be there. So that is their policy. So their shelves never gonna be empty. So that's why they buy a lot of stuff, and that's why they throw away. So apparently nobody was buying these sandwiches with eggs, and they just throwing them all the time. And then you think, well, okay, maybe 1 day, 2 days you can throw away, but then you understand, okay, people not buying it. Why not just order less? No, they just, for a few months it was like that, really.
Probably because they have some kind of contract with the company that makes egg sandwiches, and then.
But then imagine how stupid it is. I mean, they just buying, and like for me, it looks like they throw away 90% of this product. Like every day. They maybe sell one and throw away 10. So every day.
Meanwhile, there's people starving.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
We are not talking about that. And then people starving and they don't want to give this food away just for free. So sometimes they put chains. They put like locks on the rubbish bins. Sometimes they put like paint. They really buy paint, like black or white paint, and put around so that people not taking it. Yeah, and I know like few guys that were arrested for stealing trash, basically stealing rubbish.
I've heard of these shops also putting poison on the food and poisoning people that have
never heard of this, but I'm not surprised. It's possible.
Didn't they have put spikes in places where homeless people? This is just another thing, but it's similar. Don't let them take advantage of our waste.
Which is so I don't even know how to
inhumane,
tell it.
I think.
Yeah, it is inhumane. I mean, to put the spikes or throw away food, fresh food, and even if you throw away, just give it to other people.
But it's difficult.
Why do you restrict it?
For me as a consumer, if I earn stuff in this game, to be kind with other people. Why don't you work, right? That's what people say. You work, you do stuff. I work, I pay for my shit. It's my stuff. And so many times there are, because you buy stuff instead of renting. I used to give this example that I wrote about in a book. Like, imagine if all of us will have a shopping cart. And this shopping cart we have to take care of the shopping cart. Everyone will have a shopping cart. And when you go shopping, you take your shopping cart with you, put it in a car. You must have a parking lot for your shopping cart. Imagine the craziness. Everyone will be like, oh, my shopping cart is better than yours. And I have these cool wheels and I handle. And mine is 3D printed. It will be crazy. But that's what we do with every object. Why do you need a car to go from point A to point B? And it's the same car, but it's different brands, a little bit different here, a bit different there, 3-4 places to stay, or just 2 doors without this, without that. It's just crazy. Look around and you'll see so many types of cars, but it's basically the same object. The same object with a little bit of differences.
Yeah, I mean, sharing is a really great thing, but you won't sell a lot. I mean, and this buying thing, like today, digital stuff, it's so crazy, but we already get used to it. Like when you buy something, some copy, let's say book, I don't know, like video game or video movie, you cannot share it. I mean, it's so it's so paranoid. I mean, I've bought something digital which can be reproduced itself, but it's attached either to my computer or to my device. Let's say like Kindle. If you're buying book on Kindle, I cannot share this book with anyone. I mean, I can give Yeah, I mean, I can give my device to somebody else, but I can't, you know, share something I just bought. So in the same way, it's kind of renting, but yeah.
Yeah, it's renting, and people think that they are buying digital stuff, but actually,
Yeah.
even if you read the small print, they say that this is rented. Even Windows, if you have a license for it, basically Windows, as far as I know, they say that they can shut down or close your license or something like that. You basically you use their product. It's not yours anymore. And
Yeah.
all of this emerges from our consumerism culture. That's important to know, because it's not like people are pushed to do some shitty things like this because of other reasons. No, because of the same reason that you go to a shop and you want to buy your stuff and you don't want to share with other people and you want more and more stuff. That's what these people want, these big corporations. They want the same, more stuff for themselves and less for everybody else. Yeah.
And I think individual people don't think about it that much, about the actual waste that's produced from this, the problems that just buying more and more useless crap generates. Even for myself, as an example, I lived in the States from 8 years old until 18, and I remember that while living there, it was never a problem to just, I don't know, say use a lot of paper towels, clean something up. You know, you make a big spill, just throw away a lot of stuff. We remember we had like big bags of garbages, and it was never even something that I thought about. You know, just having stuff, wasting garbage, all this stuff. And it wasn't until I lived in other places, in Canada, or until I lived on a boat, that I realized, actually, waste is a really bad thing. You shouldn't have these massive big bags of garbage. You should try to limit it as much as possible. And I think a lot of people don't even take that into consideration. You know, they bring out their garbage gets taken away. They don't think about where it goes, or what's happening, in the bigger picture on our entire planet.
What I will say to this is that, because I had a discussion with Aaron. Aaron, it's helping the project, and now he's visiting me, and he's so like he doesn't produce waste, almost like never, and like he eats everything, and I feel so bad because I start to feel bad because I kind of waste food. I didn't realize this, and we have many discussions about this. But I think that although that's true, people waste a lot of stuff. It shouldn't be put on people. It should be put on our system and society, because I cannot go to a place to have access to food. I have to buy food home. I have to manage this shit. I have to have a kitchen for that. And don't make me sort out my garbage. Make it in a way that I don't have to sort my garbage, because it's like saying to people, don't turn off the lights when it's too late at night. Just don't keep it like that, or turn off your water faucet. Don't waste. You have to make it smart so that you never rely on people, because that's never going to happen. I'm not going to just close the shower and open it so many times when I take a shower, because maybe I will, but most people will not. You need to make a comfortable society where waste is not, it's handled in a much better way. Like, don't make bottled water. I drink bottled water because the water here is not that good to drink, and I've seen like rust in the water and stuff like that. So make it so that I don't buy bottled water, or I don't need to waste in a way, and deal better with the waste, because even if you sort the waste, it's such a big business that not much of that waste is going to get sorted anyways. It will end up in China somewhere, or in Ghana.
Yeah, but then going back to this, I totally agree with you. But why brands and manufacturers, they have all this excess packaging? Because so often you're just buying some small stuff, let's say food or what, and it comes with excessive packages. It's wrapped in plastic, then in paper, then in cardboard, then there's like shiny, some glittering stuff and so on. Why they do this? I mean, I just want to buy some stuff. I just want to buy, let's say, I don't know, sandwich, and it will be wrapped in so many things.
Yeah.
But this packaging is actually what sells. That's packaging what created illusion, of this product. So it's cool. It's actually what is the brand's all about. It's about packaging. because if you take out the packaging, all the drinks will look more or less the same, but you need the drink, you don't need, this package. And all the money, and actually today most of the money of the companies are spent on adverts and then packaging, and it's very, very small amount of money, like very small percentage goes to of creating product itself. It's like tiny amount. Most of the
what a massive waste of resources.
Yeah, exactly. But they do this excessive packaging. Like if we take again the same Apple, they are famous for their super packaging opening experience or crap like that. Why do you need this fucking package? Because it sells better. That's it. And that's why we have so many waste. Like if I look at my stuff, what we are buying, the food, I'm just surprised, every week. So how much of the plastic and stuff, I don't understand where it comes from, because just crazy. You cannot do much about it. It's not, and the way that they blame it's all on humans. Yeah, you have to recycle, you have to look for some alternative. Yeah,
it's always people's fault.
Yeah,
well, it's your fault that you didn't achieve in life. It's your fault that those children in Africa are dying because you're wasting food. It's only your fault. I'm not saying that you shouldn't care. Of course you should care, but because the infrastructure has to be in such a way that, and the society that doesn't pushes people to create waste. That's the ideal, because we cannot expect for people to not produce waste in this world.
Yeah, of course, because it's not, at the end, it's not the people who produce, people just consume it, but producers produce the waste, so they should be responsible. At one point I was really angry on them, and I had this experiment. I went to the shop and just put out all the packaging and leave it in the shop, so I just bought this stuff. It was kind of a protest, because there was so much, unneeded plastic and stuff. But of course, it's not change anything.
They bought a bunch of stuff and put the packages in the shop.
Yeah.
You are a warrior.
I did it. Yeah, I just left all this package and,
And then some poor little Mexican guy had to clean it up.
Yeah, because we don't think about, the chain. You may think that,
of course.
That's a good thing that I'm doing.
It's not like the CEO was like, oh, yeah.
That was a good point.
Yeah. So
that's why we cannot do much.
Yeah.
We cannot do much in this sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's the structure of the whole system that makes this insane amount of waste. I mean, and now companies are just being pushed to make these, products that last only a few months or a year or whatever, just to sell. Even you can't even get like decent hiking boots anymore. 10 years ago, you can buy hiking boots that will last you 20 years. Now you buy even like good quality brands and spend a lot of money on this, and they will still last half a year. And I say that as a hiking guide, and I've seen lots of people go through lots of shoes.
Yeah, because they have to sell all of the time. How can I make a product that is so good and lasts, and you can upgrade it and then stay in a business? It's impossible. And it's a fine thing that happens with mobile phones, because most of them are so good today that you basically covers all of our needs. And now they transform from a tool to a luxury item. Now it's not like the cars. Now the phone is not anymore something that you can do stuff with. It's a status symbol, and that's how they are doing with clothes. We are doing with everything. So it's not even, they don't even have to worry about, okay, let's make this thing break down. Let's make this thing unfashionable. Because even in our book of planned obsolescence, it's planned obsolescence, that you make a product to wear down in time, or perceived obsolescence, where you think that your stuff is not good anymore, not fashionable anymore, and that pushes you to, I mean, there are so many cars in showrooms, there are so many mobile phones, so much food in stores. Of course that's the point for them to sell them. They have to sell those somehow. They expect to sell.
And that's kind of like fucked up on a psychological level too, because you're basically making people feel insecure and inferior without having a particular product. and it pushes people into trouble too. Like I know a number of people that don't have much money at all, and they will take out loans to get phones, to get cars, to get like the newest iPhone, to get these new cool shoes, things like that, and they can't even afford these things. I mean, one thing if you can actually afford it, and okay, you have it and you still enjoy your life, but these I know a few people that are, particularly in Moscow actually, that are just chasing the new product, always chasing the new item. And you know, I can think of one person in particular who, when I talked to him about happiness and enjoying life, he didn't even understand what happiness was, you know, and he spent his whole life just like chasing these products.
Because the people try to associate in our world stuff with happiness. You know, I have a home, I have a car, I must be happy. Why am I so depressed? But they are missing the point completely. Those were not the things that will create happiness. Those are some actually you make other people happy. You make those people who sell those stuff happy, not just happy.
But not even though. I mean, I feel like I couldn't even say if most billionaires are happy. You know, it's happiness is not about how much stuff you have at all, you know, or the fancy house you live in or anything. It's about relationships and experiences. And you can never buy that.
Yeah, how much does your mother worth? Like, how much is your friend worth? A good conversation, something like that.
Yeah, and if you do buy it, then it's not real, and it's going to make you even more depressed.
And as a reminder, this is like an open discussion. If everyone can join, if they want, there are links in YouTube chat and everywhere. So whatever. The main topic is like consumerism, but we can deviate from the topic if anyone wants to join.
Yeah, that's interesting about the people who spend, you know, more than they have on items, and which they of course doesn't need.
Hey, hello.
About the people who spend
hello there.
More than they have.
Can you hear us?
Items. And
hey, what's up?
Doesn't need.
Hey, thank you for joining.
Hello there.
Hey.
Can you hear us?
Items.
Hey, what's up?
We can hear ourselves. If you can turn off the live, perhaps.
Is it better now? Do you hear the feedback?
Let me check. I think it's okay. Yeah, I think it's perfect. Hey, so where did you see the link for the live?
Oh, okay. I know the problem. I'll just close the YouTube.
Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So
is it okay now?
Where are you from, and how do you know about TROM? You know, questions.
I'm Alex. Yeah, we corresponded a few times over emails. I'm from Israel, but like I'm in the States most of the time, and I travel a lot. And I talked to Sasha. I'll be in Moscow next week, so maybe we'll have to meet.
Yeah,
cool.
we'll meet for sure.
I read a lot of the books, not all of them. Yeah, but I really love it.
Great to have you here.
There's some interesting discussions in the chat, so I thought I'll join and maybe
Yeah, it's better like that. It's more direct. In chat, it's a bit difficult to keep up with if people post questions.
Yeah, it's hard to read and then also respond.
Yeah.
So what do you think about the subject then?
Yeah, I totally agree. I try to live like sort of minimalistically, not like Sasha with her blog, but like I try not to live wastefully and stuff like that. The questions that I raised in the chat and it would be interesting to hear your thoughts, but like. So TROM and all the books talk a lot about the trade and monetary system, that the trade is the root of all problems and monetary system is also connected to it. And my question is, how do you think like we can like transfer value? And I explain what I mean. So like I think money is sort of like a thing that, okay, I do something that I don't like. Like for example, if I do work that I don't like, okay, and I get money for it, and I do it because I want the money, because I want to get things that I do want, Okay, I want to buy stuff or things that, you know, probably dictated by the society and majority and stuff like that, but I feel that I want those stuff, okay? And then I use the money to get this stuff from other people. Now, people need to create this. They need to research, develop, manufacture the things that I want to buy, right? Or services, like people, someone maybe do some service for me. So money is sort of like, you know, making people do something that they don't like or don't want to do voluntarily, right? So the example that I gave in the chat is like if some people have a disease, okay, and they need someone else to help research and find a cure, okay, they cannot do it on their own, or there are not enough people that have this disease to know to do all the research in a timely manner. So someone would, like, other people would have to research and help find a cure. Okay, so money is a way to make those people, you know, work really hard, you know, do the research and find a cure, and do it like really fast. I don't want to die from this disease. Okay, so how do you think, like, without the monetary system, what trade we can like make other people do things that they might not do voluntarily, but they do, you know, if we give them something in return. I hope I explained myself well.
No, I get this idea. My first point would be like, is that okay to force people to do something that they don't want to do? Because this sounds to me like I give an example in the book. The greatest human show on earth probably is in North Korea, where people are forced to, like millions of them, to provide this amazing show. Human, like they do all kinds of shit like that, and people from all around the world come there and they watch this show, and they will probably have the same argument. They will say, well, what would we do if those people will afford not to be enslaved in a way, to be part of such shows? Could we watch this great show that North Koreans are offering? And to me, that's kind of it. Like, if you force people to do something because you find no one else to do it, that's a wrong path to go towards, because this can open up all kinds of abusive scenarios. So that's just a small thing that I want to put there. Just keep in mind, if you do that, it means like there are people who you can control, and those people are not, they don't have a good life if you force them. But let's put that aside, and you say, for example, the example with the disease. First of all, compare it to today. How do you do it today? Let's say your kid or whatever has a disease. It's not like you can pay a group of researchers, or you have the money to do that, to research to a cure for your kid's disease. So always compare it to today. How are we approaching it today? Can we do this? And when you say that companies usually pay people to find a cure as quickly as possible, this is not always the case. They do this to make a profit, basically, not to find a cure as soon as possible. And if you look at, I was looking at, say, pancreatic cancer is one of the most deadliest cancers out there. But it's deadly. It's so deadly because there are no money invested. It's very rare, and no company has any interest into focusing on that. One smaller example, I have like a skin condition. It's called dermatitis on my face. No one knows what creates it, but it's not that common, and companies, they have no interest, and I have to struggle with it because there is no treatment for that. What are my options in this world? Maybe in a world where I won't have to trade for my stuff, I will have more opportunities. Maybe I could become a researcher in a way, or at least help with something, if possible, to dedicate my life to solve this thing. But in today's world, you have to go to a system, you have to get paid, you have to make a job out of this. You are always trapped in this kind of stratification. So in a way, that would be my how to do it in a way in a society where there is no forced labor. Well, you open opportunities for multiple groups of people to research whatever it is to be researched for. I know I've seen a TED talk, and the guy was like, we explore the ocean and we see so many creatures there, and we don't even know what these creatures are, and we need so many people to help us discover and classify those creatures, but we cannot find anyone, because in this world everyone has a job. In order for people to discover and classify those new creatures, you have to pay them, you have to make a job, you have to make a profit. the same with diseases. You know, if you crowdsource stuff, we give many examples of crowdsourcing, of citizen science, and stuff like that. Then I think you can create an abundance of volunteers to opportunities. You create opportunities for them to get involved and focus on diseases, to fix diseases, and to fix if it's bad. And if it's better than today, then I think it's better overall. So let me know what you think.
Yeah. Also, I find that generally people want to contribute. You know, they want to do something with their lives that will help other people. And I think most people are too busy just trying to survive, which means having a job, you know, going through the whole system. If they didn't have to do that, if they had more time, I think more people would be more willing to do research, to do things that really drive them, to do things that will really help other people. So I think it's an important point to consider too.
I also think actually it's maybe even more real to accomplish in a future world than today. Like if you've got some rare disease, you have to wait until it will either become, you know, many people will be infected, so it's profitable to make a cure, or unless you're, you know, multi-billionaire, you can just, you know, hire those people.
Even billionaires die today because, like, look at Steve Jobs. Okay, he had, I think, pancreatic cancer. With all of the money, he invested lots of money. With all of his money, they couldn't save his life, because you need years and years of research, clinical trials with thousands and thousands of people across many different countries. You need collaboration. The biggest, I've read from Cancer Research UK, the biggest obstacle in developing a cancer was funding, because they don't have the money, and because they don't collaborate with each other. There are companies who make a clinical trial about a drug, they don't share the result with the other ones. So this kind of trade society actually pushes, I think it slows down the progress in important fields like medicine, for example.
So in a way we can look at this question like, if you've got something which is not there yet, so basically today to accomplish it you have to either invest or give people like a lot of money, so people are motivated to do something. When in a senior society, people, like, the value would be not the money, but to make something helpful, to make something useful, to help others, to improve something. And then let's say on example of free and open source, let's say you've got a problem, you post it somewhere on a website. Okay guys, I have this problem, I need help, and people will be interested to actually contribute to the project because it brings value. At the end, if they can accomplish something and bring value, it will be like equally like today earning money. So, and I think it's actually, as way I can see, it's much more realistical to achieve and find a cure from this disease in the future world than today with the money.
What do you think, Alex?
Yeah, probably. It makes a lot of sense. I think like that instead of what we have today, okay, so money is sort of a way to balance out between things that I don't like to do and someone else doesn't like to do. Okay, right? So like you would do something that you don't like and we get money for. I would do something that I don't like and get money for, and we all get along, sort of, right? So instead of that, I think we would need some other mechanisms of balancing out, or transferring value. Okay, so for example, there will be like, I don't know, maybe a website or an app, and people put their things that they want or need, right? And then others would look at it and say, okay, there are like millions of people, billions of people, and millions of people that those people need, and I will pick just something and I will do it because I like to do it. Okay, but it's sort of random, right? Like some people, maybe would have a disease, some people would have something that's not comfortable for them, some people would be uneducated or hungry and stuff like that. So there probably should be some mechanism to prioritize all the wants of all people. Now money sort of does it in a bad way, but it is used for that. But if we just eliminate trade and money, I think that we would need some other systems that would probably be sophisticated and would need, like, I don't know, artificial intelligence algorithms, to somehow decide what's more important, to solve now for humans, and what's less important and stuff like that. that's like all political systems are all about that, you know, like socialism, communism, capitalism. They're like how we're going to distribute all these, like, you know, man hours or what people do and what they would do with each thing. And these systems create different incentives for different stuff. Okay, like socialism sort of creates is supposed to create incentives to, you know, to do things that help everyone, or you know, poor people or stuff like that. And capitalism is supposed to, you know, help people that have money and stuff like that. But they're doing it very poorly. So like we would need something else, I think, that would compensate for that.
I think it's always.
I just think one big part of it needs to be efficiency. So right now our world is really inefficient because it's all based on people making a profit. One thing is automation, right? To automate, use technology to its benefit, to automate as many useless jobs as possible. And another point is, you know, what we're talking about with all these packages, shiny packages and all this stuff, all the resources used to, you know, make commercials for these packages, for, you know, putting everything together. There's so many useless jobs in this world. Most of them are completely useless. I mean, I think if we got rid of, I mean, you'd have to restructure the entire system in order to get rid of these kind of useless jobs. But if you did, it would be much more efficient. Tio, what did you want to say?
I think in my view, where those systems like communism or socialism or whatever people interpret of them fail, is that they want to organize our world. You cannot organize from top down and say, this is what's valuable. I mean, if you look at technocracy had this idea, and they said we have to create like one type of work, and we have to create this kind of machines. You cannot superimpose to people what is important to them and what is valuable in our society, because you never know this. Society is too dynamic. That's why my approach now that I'm pushing with TROM is like, think of this trade as almost like a virus and try to eliminate it from today's society. Like I give examples to it: Wikipedia versus Everpedia, or NASA versus SpaceX. You remove this kind of disease from such organizations that they know how to do stuff. You don't have to tell them what to do, and you make them more available for people and useful and sincere. Like look at Doctors Without Borders or White Helmets. Those people are helping others in need in this trade-free. Like White Helmets, there are some people who go to Syria, for example, and they don't care if you are from ISIS or you are from whatever, from US, they are going to help you. They are going to put you out of those ruins, for example. This is like a trade-free system. And I think that's what we should apply throughout our society. Like, take NASA. NASA does whatever it does. Yes, they rely on taxes. Yes, they rely on the government from the US. But this is, whatever they do, they make it as trade-free for people. And I think if you take this, imagine like it's like a virus. We take it from organization. We take it from open source, from software. You take it from healthcare. Then I think you can create. It's a realistic way to create trade-free services and push this society to become saner and saner. Like imagine if you create a trade-free healthcare system where you can go and get your treatment for free. You don't have to tell these people what is more valuable in healthcare. Should we treat cancer first, or should we treat my dermatitis on my face? You don't have to tell them. They know exactly what is more efficient. If you look at the organ transplant, there is a scarcity there. How are they dealing with organ transplant? Because they want to remove all of the profit. They have a decision-based process. They say, okay, let's see where the organ is coming from, who may benefit better from it, who is closer. People know already how to take decisions and how to understand what is more valuable, not in terms of money, but in terms of society and human life, from infrastructure to medicine or whatever you want. That's my idea. Take the trade away. In a way, I don't know how you can do this. There are many ideas, and you will see how projects are going to emerge that know how to deal with stuff. Engineers, healthcare.
Yeah, I also kind of think the same way with what you said, but I say it's in a way we won't have like one centralized system or mechanism which will work and like totally will, you know, kind of command what else should do. Is the way I see, like, the future will be more decentralized, because like today it's the best alternative what we have, all of them decentralized. The way you just explained to you, it's like the same Wikipedia or Linux or many others, you know, examples. Where people or group of people, they just do whatever they want, and the structure is not like vertical, yeah, when there's something on top, but it's more horizontal, and there's more people, and each person know his sector where he's working. He's got some systems, he's got some approaches, and he is like responsible for this stuff. So the way I see it, and I see it's really working like today with open source or other examples, it's really the decentralization. Where some persons who are, you know, how would say, not maybe let's say reliable in any sphere, you know, in any topic, he can make decisions based on his experience. And also they may have some systems, but they're let's say locally based or based around one specific area.
What do you think, Alex?
Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense. You know, it's like it's very different solution, something that's totally decentralized, right? Yeah. And something that's partially or totally centralized, right? So like one of the solutions that is broadly discussed, you know, about future society is like the Venus project, right? And so it's sort of it's not decentralized, okay? At least not from all the what I've read. And it's one possible solution, right? And it can have its complications due to what you said. You know, if there's like a group of people that decides what's best for others or for everyone, it can lead to a lot of complications. Okay, and so sort of okay. So and you know, the Venus project talks about sort of that. People would express, you know, their pains or their needs, and then there are people that would create solutions for that. Okay, so that's one sort of solution, and another solution can be like real decentralization. Okay, there's no small group of people deciding anything. It's all decided by masses. Okay, and I don't know, maybe it would work. Like it can work, you know. There's like a lot of benefits of decentralization because people like actually can express what they need, and when a lot of people want like similar things, then someone else can say, okay, like so many people really want this thing to develop, like if it's a cure or even a chair, you know, and someone can come and resolve it and create a solution for it. And if it works, then everyone would, you know, if they're in their app or whatever, they'll say, okay, that's great. This product solved my problem. My problem doesn't exist anymore. Or no, it's not solved yet, and you need to do iterations and then solve it. But it still doesn't, like, I think it still doesn't solve the prioritization thing. Okay, like how would we as a society, as a decentralized society, decide to develop a cure and not a chair? Okay, this is maybe like simple, but maybe one cure and not another cure. Okay, maybe dermatitis, is it like dermatitis is lower priority than chronic pain or higher priority? I don't know. You know how we as a decentralized society make these decisions effectively, and it's difficult to define effectiveness, but you know, in a stable manner, so people would be okay with this way of decisions and would say, fine, like if that's what was decided, I'm going for it.
You don't have to think in a centralized way when you think about a decentralized society. Like
that's exactly what I wanted.
How are we going to do this or that? We don't know. I have no answer. How can we organize the healthcare system? The more you look into it, the more you understand that those people there know how to prioritize stuff. Even like when you go to the doctor, the tests that they will recommend for, let's say, colon cancer is over 50 years old. You will get a test to see to prevent this disease. Why is not over 40? Why is not over 30? Why is not every week? Because they have this decision already. They know what is best from a health perspective in that small area. The same way that engineers know very well how to create buildings that are self-sustainable. but they are polluted by our trade society, and that's the problem here. We don't have to organize our world. You see, you have to take away the bad stuff, and the way that I describe it is to trade. Many people say money. Of course, we just go one step further, and it's not something that's new. I explained that in detail in the Origin of Most Problems book. Sasha, if you want to say something, or
it's okay.
so that's, for me, that is like, don't think in the centralized way. Like, how are we going to organize all kinds of things? Should we make like an entertainment park, or should we make a hospital? In today's world, I know for sure what's the answer. Whichever makes more profits usually. You see, so it's better than today. Maybe in the future, maybe they will say, yeah, let's make an entertainment park. You know, fuck those hospitals. We are going to die anyway, so fuck that. But it's very unlikely, I will say. It's very unlikely.
So in decentralized society, all these two tasks will be, you know, developed at the same time, because there will be a group of people who will, you know, will be interested to make. Let's take your example, make a hospital. Another group of people will be more interested to make an amusement park, and both projects will start to work, and then other people can join. And that's how all decentralization works, and why it works, because it's connect the people who are like-minded, who have like in small groups, but then they have achieved quite a lot. If we take example of Wikipedia, yeah, there's like millions of people are creating new articles every day, and you like as a person, you can work only on one or two specific areas which you're interested, yeah, and then there's like group of other people who works on other, and yeah, I'm just think, yeah, it's not like we still got this centralized thinking, because it's like this decentralization, as far as I know, it's a new thing. It's a new thing. Never in history there was like decentralized society.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think also education is a huge part of it. I mean, if people from a young age were educated to learn about how the world works, how everything functions, to think about systems, to think about the bigger picture, then and you know, a number of other things that have to do with reality, as opposed to just how to get a job and survive in this world, then people would also prioritize things, in a saner manner, rather than just whatever makes you more money.
I think the best example with open source is something that I think many people misunderstand, because open source is not actually about open source. It emerged from this disease that they call proprietary. They said proprietary software, it's a problem. So open source, you can say it proprietary free, like we say trade free. It's the same kind of thing. And those who invented this, they recognize a problem, and they say we have to open source the software, but they never say we should create this kind of website, this kind of application, or they don't decide. It's just an idea that spreads, and people say we are not going to make proprietary software, and that alone makes them make better software and more sincere software and less for-profit software, because it's very difficult to make a software open source and make a profit. So they took away that kind of disease. From that, they say no proprietary, leave it open source, and that created so many projects today. That's how I see the society. Take that trade away that I'm saying, and people will self-organize. They are already organized, actually, in many different domains.
And they came out with a cool thing called copyleft. Not copyright, but copyleft.
Yeah, and they have so many ideas and so many licenses, and the Richard Stallman, who pushed this idea first, he couldn't ever manage this. He couldn't ever predict that they will create all kinds of fucking apps, or whatever, operating systems or whatever. And this idea of open source started to spread into science. They say, let's make journals open source. Let's make even the recipe for a pill, let's make it open source. They push it. That's what I'm saying. Do you see, Alex, how maybe an idea like this can spread to multiple organizations that are quite decentralized? Is that like someone on top controlling them is spreading, and then pushes these organizations to become more sincere and create more value that is not based on money, create more value for people.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, I totally get it. I think we would still need some mechanism for decision making. Like when I say like what should we do as society, it's not like I would decide or you would decide and everyone would abide. You know, we would suggest ideas. That's what we're doing now. We're suggesting ideas, and if everyone would decide to adopt it, then it would be used by all of us, right? So like the fact that we're raising an idea doesn't necessarily mean we're doing it in a centralized way. It can still be decentralized. But we still need a way like to coordinate our actions, okay, or to collaborate, right? Like, and there were no societies on this scale of entire humanity that collaborated in this centralized way yet. Okay, so like we would need to develop these systems for collaboration. Okay, like if like we want to make a decision as humanity, like where we should dedicate our resources, right? In you know watching for asteroids that might hit the Earth and destroy us, which is like it's a slight possibility, but it's fatal one. Or you know solving like cancer, which is like it's deadly, you know, but it wouldn't destroy the entire humanity, you know, but it's like it's something that people suffer every day. Millions and millions of people suffer from cancer, and there are a lot of other stuff like hunger and you know other things that are crucial for people. And we would need a society a way to manage our you know time and resources, okay, or to divert. Like what you were talking about, Sasha, you were talking about education. So like education can be also coercive, right? We can, like, if we educate people for something specific that would be their culture and what they do. So like how would we decide what we educate for? Okay, so I think like we still need some mechanism, and I don't think it's impossible, but it requires like a lot of thinking. We would still need some mechanism for decision making, collaboration on a global scale. On millions and millions and billions of people.
If you look around the world, I think you will find many kind of such collaborations. Like look at the Large Hadron Collider, the biggest machine created on Earth, and they collaborate from many different countries. Or even the asteroids, they keep an eye on asteroids from many different countries. The Center for Disease Control, they are trying to keep an eye on viral infections, say, on a worldwide scale, and they collaborate with many different groups. We already have many such organizations. It's not something new. It's not like we have to reinvent the wheel. It's just to make those people to take those trades away, to not push them for profit. Actually, that's what pretty much any non-for-profit organization is doing. They recognize the problem and they say we need to take the profit away so that we can make correct decisions, not based on profit.
Yeah, I think there are like a lot of things that exist in our society, like NASA, okay, were developed because of monetary and power incentives, okay, like two of the biggest nations, like the United States and Soviet Union, were in a race to space, but like they just want superiority one over the other, and that's what pushed for that. So research like the big collider might have other interests. I don't know. I haven't dwelled deeply into it, but so a lot of things are incentivized by power and money and stuff like that. So and it's not a collaboration on a global scale of millions of people. These are like few nations that work together, and even in those nations, there's like groups of scientists that work together and collaborate. But on like the really huge stuff, like protecting the environment, saving Earth, solving hunger and stuff like that. So these are things that we would still need to collaborate on a global scale, and we would need ways for making decisions. Because like now, there's no way to make decisions as humans. There's like United States decides something, and then the European Union decides something else, and then Russia and China and a lot of small countries that their vote doesn't count and stuff like that. So it's like a real mess. Okay, there's like the United Nations supposed to do something like that, like everyone would collaborate, but like it's not doing it effectively. As an understatement. So like I think technology is a way to solve this. Like a big part of it would be technology, because like 100 years ago we couldn't imagine what we have today. that you say something and like millions of people hear what you have to say. Okay, like on Twitter or social media or whatever. So we have technologies to collaborate on a global scale of billions of people, or at least we're almost there. Yeah, but we still don't have the tools. No, we still need to build tools with which the humanity can make decisions, or all of us can make decisions, and we all be in peace with these decisions. We won't feel like we're being coerced, or like there are some powerful people making decisions and we are suffering and we're a minority and stuff like that.
I think there will always be some people on kind of on top who will take decisions, or a group of people in different kind of pockets in the world. Like it's not like I can come and decide for NASA or to decide on a mission for whatever planet. I think there will always be like inner decisions, and there will be solutions that are more global, solutions that are more local. You don't have to collaborate millions of people to perhaps solve a problem that is local. Perhaps you can do that locally, and that's my take on it. Is you always, even today, you have top-down decisions, but you need those top-down decisions to be as scientific and as lacking other motivation other than any motivation other than the goal itself of the project. I think that's it could be very difficult for me to put this in words, but I think it's so important to understand this thing that if you take away something like I explained with open source, you don't have to think about, don't worry how Linux is going to put the source code together, how programmers are going to manage that. Are they going to do it online, offline? Do they send the code to a guy? The guy says, don't worry about such things. I think worry about what pushes people to do bad things in that organization or project. You know, take that away, and you don't have to worry about space missions to space or how we allocate resources. We already have so many organizations that know perfectly well how to deal with that. And the example I gave you is with organ transplant. Just look into organ transplant and see how they deal with it without being pushed by profits.
Yeah, and I mean, these decisions basically have to be based on science, you know, and the carrying capacity of the Earth. I mean, if you take a big global problem like climate change, you know, what are the forces that are stopping us from being able to collaborate to actually be able to do something about global warming? It's because every country, every business is trying to make more profit, and, you know, putting out less carbon is going to stop them from doing that. So here's your problem, is that everything is based on trade. I mean, that's what's stopping global cooperation.
Yeah, because they have a solution how to fix climate change. They already have that. How it emerged, I have no idea. Even they don't have any idea how it emerged. Perhaps all kinds of collaborations, because from all kinds of organizations, and they come up with so many ideas. Maybe they don't even agree, scientists, between each other in terms of solutions. But the society will always be this kind of dynamic way, and you cannot think of all of these situations. It's almost like, to me, in a way, thinking in the future, will girls wear makeup, or will guys want to drive a car, or will this is complicated. You cannot go into details. You can only look at like what pushes people to do bad stuff in this world. If you identify that, take that away, because we have so many organizations today that do so many stuff, like research in circular, going to other planets, managing like look at it's a series called How It's Made, to show you how every product is pretty much automated. We even have that in our TROM curated videos. Pretty much every day you can see a video of how this product is created, this product is created, and through automation you don't even need lots of people to automation to put in practice these ideas, like creating an abundance and distributing such stuff. You know, and I think one thing that we may not realize it, but is so important, is digitization. We can digitize so much stuff today. So this way, it's so easy for me to create a cure for something and then give you the recipe. You only need the recipe, and you can create it in some other parts of the world. I have no control over that. If you can do that in other parts of the world, that means centralization, and it means cooperation between perhaps millions of people, in a way. So that's what I will say in terms of decisions. I think we can talk a lot about this, but the point is that don't think about every part of the society, because I used to think like, how are you going to do this? How are you going to do that? Who the fuck cares? I don't know. I don't know how they do stuff. I use Linux, I report bugs, maybe I contribute something, but I don't know how they organize. What I care is that they create a trade-free operating system, and that makes it useful, that makes it free for me, that makes it honest. And that's what I care. If everything will be like that, if my healthcare system will be like that, it would be fantastic.
Yeah, I think I totally agree that open source has a lot of benefits, and like our society is losing a lot by not using it more. I still don't know how do we make sure that there wouldn't be pockets in the world where there are like urgent problems for people and they're not being treated by open source. They might be yelling, "Oh, we really need the solution. We really need the solutions." People working on other stuff, and these people are frustrated now. And decide, fuck it, we want something else and stuff like that. How do we satisfy everyone? Or in a manner.
What happens in the case of a tsunami, for example, or a big earthquake? No country is prepared for such things. They always rely on volunteers. And if you look at so many examples, you get people from all around the world coming to help. I think we have more than enough people to focus on our problems. And if we don't have, then we don't have. It's better than today. If it is, then that's perfect. I'm sure there will be very many unhappy people in the future, even whatever future you create. You cannot make it perfect.
Yeah, like there was like in Puerto Rico, there was like there was like a natural disaster and stuff like that, and like nations volunteer and stuff like that, but it wasn't enough. Like many people died there and stuff like that. And of course, it's majorly due to how our current society is built today. But it also a lot of depends, how their suffering is conveyed to the rest of the people, and to show that they're suffering and it's such an awful things happening there, so many people would come and help. So it's sort of like to do some marketing of people's problems so that others would help them. So a lot of depends on the communication. How would you communicate that you really need something so that others would appreciate your need and help you and not some other people? Because I think like currently we have so many problems in the society, so many things that need to be fixed, that might take hundreds of years until we reach a level, where the things that we're fixing is a bolt on a chair or making something more comfortable, all diseases are gone and stuff like that. So like we would still have like probably centuries that we would have urgent problems, and we would need some way to communicate. It comes back to what I said about prioritization, like what should be taken care of like earlier and what can be done later, and it's not all can be solved in this in a scientific method, because it all depends on needs of people. Okay, I say that I need solution for my skin disease, and someone else says that I need solution for my chronic pain. Okay, like I don't know what's more important. Like we need some way to make decision, and
I really recommend you have to look at how doctors, how the medical field it's operating, because they have to face such things so many times. They are funded, for example, from the government, so they don't have an interest there, or a big interest. So they have to decide what is better, what tests are better for people, what should we focus our research on. And you will see that not all the time, but many times there are scientifically based decisions, like let's see what threatens life the most. Let's see what diseases are not only killing people, but making people more, make them suffer more. Like the prostate cancer, for example, they decided that a treatment is not really necessary, because most people die with prostate cancer, and the treatment will make people's lives extremely difficult, and they will pretty much die from other diseases, but in pain. So how do you balance this? If there is no profit, you have methods to balance such decisions, regardless of the domain. That's my input.
Yeah, my experience with hospitals is not very good. But yeah, hospitals maybe it's not the perfect example, because they're sort of car mechanics. They're not researching and trying to find new solutions, they're like, okay, there are people sick now, we need to cure them with the tools that we got and stuff like that. So like the academia and where medicines are researched and developed is maybe the place that would be like more dominant to cure them future. The tools that we got and stuff like that. So like the academia.
Can you turn off the stream, please?
Medicines are research and developed is maybe the place that would be like more.
Okay, that's it.
Nope.
Anyone can join. So.
Yeah, it's like two different systems.
Do you live in the US? You said?
Most of the time in the US, but currently I'm in Israel, and next week I'm in Russia, and in February I'm back in the US. I travel a lot.
Yeah, because the US healthcare system is very different from many other countries. It is private mostly, so they focus a lot on. I mean, it's a profit to be made, of course, from any kind of treatment and any kind of visit.
It's a money machine there. But I also experience I'm experiencing now the healthcare system in Israel, and in Russia I have some
that's where the bad experience came from.
In Israel it's also not perfect. Yeah, but in Russia, if you have money, like you can get good healthcare and stuff like that.
I don't know, even money, like here, if you go to a private doctor, a lot of times they'll diagnose you with fake stuff that you don't actually have. I've had that happen to plenty of my friends in Moscow. They'll go to a doctor and they'll give them a list of like diseases, and my friends are like, what the hell? And then they'll go to like the public healthcare, and they'll do the same test and like, yeah, you're fine. So
yeah, they did a study in Australia between public and private, and they saw that with the private, they recommended a lot more tests that were not necessary. So because they have a profit to make. I'm not saying the state healthcare system is good. I'm saying you can see the difference when you trade, when you take that profit away, that trade that they say. You will see the difference. The more you take it away, the more they have no interest other than keeping people healthy, probably mostly keeping people healthy and preventing diseases, because this is something that doesn't happen much today to prevent.
Yeah. Like you need to remove this monetary incentive everywhere, because like even in like public healthcare systems, so there's like ego and they want to advance. So there are like also other considerations which might affect their decision making, which is not like for the greater good or stuff like that. So they're both imperfect. I think they each have their own problems and stuff like that. So we need something else. That's why we're here.
Yes. But that's a good example for me, because I've read a lot about this domain just to inspire, to see how it works, how a domain works when they have to take life and death decisions. That's why I focused on this, and that's what I found. Whenever it's a trade involved, like a profit, they will do shitty decisions. When you take that away, they pretty much know how to approach this domain, the decision making. That's what I found. What do you think, Dima? Because you didn't say.
Yeah, so if you take doctors, then it looks like, by your example, that they kind of make decisions without any system or without any data. It's just you basically trust the decision of what disease to cure right now, because there's like limited amount of time, to the doctor. You kind of trust him because he's like professional. He knows what he's doing, and as you said, if there is no profit involved, he usually do the right choice. I mean, the most appropriate choice.
Yeah.
So it's just referring back to this decision making and the systems. I mean, if persons are professional and they don't have this profit influence, that they will do something which is correlated to their values, and that's to help people improve things and make just world better.
It's not perfect, but it's better. I think that's the point.
Yeah, for sure.
Doctors will do mistakes.
We're not striving. We can't strive for a perfect world.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't even know what problems will be like after 20 years or so. We can't even imagine. Who would imagine that, you know, like smartphones will take the whole world like 15 years ago? Nobody. Maybe some guys, yeah, imagine that, but
Today even stupid ideas like you know, vaccines are killing people or whatever, things like that, they are spread a lot more because of our trade society, because people make books, they want to sell them, they can pay Facebook advertising, they will reach so many people. So you see such strange ideas are pushed through the same system, and they are going to create an educational problem, and people will say, I don't trust to go to the doctor and have my vaccines done, or I don't trust this treatment. That's how you influence people in a negative way.
Because contradiction topics, they bring attention, and if you get attention, you get profit,
Exactly.
you get money, and
Controversy, yeah, and shocking content.
And yeah, and it goes to the point when you basically can contradict any subject, and for any statement you will find anti-statement, and it's very hard today in digital world to find like real information instead of like made up stories for clickbait or the books and other persons who basically preaching something where just for the profit, or for the attention. Some youngsters do stuff only for the attention. They don't want money even. They just want attention.
If you put a problem on a table and say, look, we want to provide clean water for 5 billion people, how would you do it? If you ask people who are experts in this domain, well, of course they have so many solutions and so many ideas, but if there is a profit there to be made, then that's the problem. If you remove that, you will see so many solutions, and you will probably accept the one that is the more efficient in terms of resources and in terms of providing clean water. That's the thing. Doesn't matter what.
Yeah, because the efficiency is the priority, right? Like today's the profit is priority because it's your survival depends on the profit or your values. But then if your priority,
why they bring vegetables from Spain to USA, for example, and not grow there, for example? If they are cheaper in terms of money, they are going to do it. But if you ask someone and say, don't worry about money, what's the most efficient way? There are so many experts today who can do that. I have no idea, but they have so many ideas. That's the thing here. Okay, let me remind people that if you want to join, I'm not sure for how long we are going to be live, but if you want to join, you can find the links in the description, in the live chat. And just because I'm curious, let me see the live chat. I switched to the live chat. Do we have?
Yeah, maybe we can answer some questions there.
Are there any kinds of questions? If there are, if they are not, then we can still discuss about this. Anyways, the discussion about decision making, I think it's extremely important, because so many people are thinking like, how are we going to do this, how are we going to do that. The best way, look at today how they make decisions and see what they base their decisions on. For me, like healthcare or even like space exploration, because you will see collaboration there, you will think like, how are they able to send a space probe like for 20 years or longer to reach a particular point in space, to orbit another planet. You will see collaboration from many different disciplines and from many different countries, because they don't have any other reason to go there other than exploring. And when that's the reason, you will see well done projects.
And I think I can add another point to the discussion in terms of what people do on the individual level. I think most people don't really think about the possibility of trying to get rid of this trade of most of their time for money and then for things. For me, the way I live, I've been traveling for a long time. If anyone's not familiar, I usually don't work very often. I have a job whenever I need to, and I work my ass off for a short amount of time, and then I basically get rid of that. So I get rid of the need to work for as much time as possible. And I've basically spent the last 2 years, almost 2 years, not having to work, because I saved enough money in just 7 months to be able to live for 2 years. And that has freed up my time a lot, because now I don't have to waste most of my time trading my time for money to then buy stuff. And so basically, and also it forces me to live, to not buy many things, going back to the consumerism topic. Because when you only have, a certain amount of money saved, you want it to last as long as possible. So you have to live a minimalist lifestyle, basically. So, and at the same time, you have free time, so you can do what you want in life. And usually what I do with my time is I travel around the world. The last year and a half or so, I've been living in one place and working on my project, my blog, and helping the Venus Project and TROM and whatever else I wanted to do. And I think it's important for other people to consider that, because most people don't consider, changing a lifestyle for getting rid of this need to constantly trade their time for money, for to be able to afford to live.
Alex, what would you do? Because I know Sasha, what she's done when she doesn't have to trade. But what would you do what would you focus on if you didn't have to trade in this system? Just to if you had access to pretty much what you needed and wanted, what would you focus on?
Well, I do now pretty much what I like. I don't think that I do it because of money or because I have to do it or stuff like that. So I'm an entrepreneur. So in general in my life, I recognize problems of other people and then I try to create solutions for them. So now I'm working on a company that develops therapy software that's used for therapy of autism, but it could have been other stuff. So and I decided sort of arbitrarily, okay, this is what I want to do, right, for the next years, and this is what I'm doing. So it wasn't an incentive, monetary incentive, because this is not such a broad problem like cancer or or games where you can make a lot of money developing games and stuff like that. Yeah, but I feel it's too bad there's no way of conveying, so people around the world would be able to convey their problems, and people like me could see the big problems and take care of them, okay, and work on them and solve them and stuff. I enjoy it. I enjoy every day of what I do, and so I don't consider it as something that I have to do. But I know that most people do work that they don't like, that they dislike, and they hate it and stuff like that. But okay, at least I'm getting paid for it. Okay, I'll do it and stuff like that. I don't want to live in a world like that. I don't want people that I know or my friends or my family to work like that. So that is why I'm also trying to volunteer and help projects like this.
If you were paid for a job, do you think we'll do worse kind of job that you do now? If you didn't like it but you got paid for it, would you be more efficient at what you're doing now?
I'd probably do it if I'm not getting paid, but I do need stuff, to live happily, right? And I don't need a lot, but I need stuff, and someone else need to do this stuff. So I need others to do it, to create products, to create services. So I would have the what I consider as minimum in order to do my work, So I don't need money for it, but I do need other people to do stuff sort of for me, right?
Or machines, if you could.
Yeah, I eventually, but it can take decades or more. I don't know, until we have enough things automated, and even machines. There was we need to develop machines that automate stuff, and then we need to develop the machines that maintain those machines, and you develop machines that fix those machines and stuff like that. So they would require, I think, at least a few generations until we have it worked out. And in the meantime, we need some solutions. We need some way of collaborating in the meantime until we have everything automated. And
you can never create fully automated. But if it's a difference between 100 people working in a factory to assemble cars and like 15 people automating machines that work in a factory. You get from a few hundred people to 15 or so. So you need less and less people, even maintaining those machines rather than having people doing the work.
Yeah, it's getting better. It's getting better all the time, automation stuff like that, but we still have like a long way to go, you know. And if we look like a generation in the future, or 2 generations, 3 generations, you know, there's also like Neuralink, you know, where, you know, your mind might be mirrored in some way, or be have access to a computer, right? And the whole equation might change, you know. What we need is resources as people, you know. So so if we look far enough to the future, they're like, everything might change, you know. We might not need as many resources as we do now, you know. In order to maintain, you know, a physical body, you need tons of resources. But if you only need to maintain a mind of a person, then, you know, maybe you require much less.
But in a trade-based society, for companies to stay in the game, they will sell you shit even if you don't need it for your, what you say, your body, or you only need it for your mind.
Yeah, maybe. And it's maybe it's the good scenario, the bad scenario, you know. Maybe, you know, there would be part of the society that captures most of the wealth, and eventually they have enough automation not to need everyone else, okay? And they can like ship themselves to Mars or whatever, and you know, and then we might get screwed in some way. So it can be worse, you know. They might just not need, like, if there's enough automation, then like maybe no one would want to sell you anything. Like, no, fuck everyone else, okay? Maybe with the rich one, we'll go to another planet or whatever. You know, like the Peter Thiel, or is a famous entrepreneur. So he was like developing ocean cities, you know, which are autonomous cities, and they're like self-sustainable, blah blah blah, and, you know, and they won't belong to any country. It hasn't evolved that much, that project, but it's an idea of, you know, maybe, you know, fuck, we don't need all these people and their needs and stuff like that. Maybe we just get an island, and, you know, some people that are very rich, they just live on an island. They have everything they need there. They don't need you, okay? So they still, like, you know, need some stuff. They need other people around the world to manufacture metals and products and develop products, but like a lot of the services that they just don't need from the mass of the society.
Yeah, you can never move to another. If you move to an island, then you don't solve anything. You should just move to.
Yeah, you know, temporarily. You know, if you care only about your lifespan, you know, maybe you can, you know, get along and, you know, avoid nuclear disaster, and you can live on that island. You know, but
run away.
Like, soon people would be able to, you know, to fly to other planets and stuff like that. But we're talking a lot into the future. But I think all of the ideas of, you know, full automation or almost full automation is still like.
What jobs do you guys think that cannot be automated or today? What kind of tasks cannot be automated?
Good question.
Is there a particular one? Do you think, Alex, there are some particular useful jobs that cannot be automated?
I think I can't imagine something that's, you know, totally impossible to automate, but I think things that are like useful. It would take a lot of time to automate, maybe many generations. For example, is like creating stuff, okay, creating ideas, okay. For example, like if we're talking about decision making, I think it's divided into 2 different problems. There's like deciding on the problems or things that needs to be solved, and then deciding on the solutions, okay. So when you were talking about doctors, they're deciding on solutions, okay, like whatever, we'll take this drug, or we do this treatment, and, you know, and that's the best thing to do for you. And maybe they're qualified to decide it, but they're not qualified to decide, you know, what's best for me. Probably, you know, I would probably say, okay, I have this pain, or I have this problem, I want it to be cured. So I think this part of finding solutions to problems, this is something that will be difficult to automate, or it would take many decades to automate it.
Like a doctor, you say it will be difficult to automate, to prescribe you personalized care.
No, the doctor is simpler. I think they will be gone very soon. But pharmaceutical research, okay, or development of drugs or cures, okay. Like you need to think of all the different materials in the world. You need to test them with this specific disease, and then you need to see what, and you need to think of all different possibilities how to cure this disease. Maybe like a skin condition can be cured with putting some fruits on your face. Maybe it's to radiate with some radiation. Maybe dance on one leg for a year. I don't know. Okay, so like you need to think of different ideas, and you need to decide which ideas are probable that they will solve this problem and which are don't, and then to test it and see what works. So I think all of this is very difficult to automate because it requires complicated process thoughts and then complicated tests.
It's an example that I gave in a book about this. It's a worm that you cut its head and it grows another head, and no researcher could be able to find out like what's the process, how does it grow another head, and they applied artificial intelligence, and they went through so many automated ways, so many scenarios that people could never imagine, like combined so many kind of possibilities, and they finally came out with a result that it's actually the best theory that they have so far for this particular case. So I think even that it's very likely to be automated, like through artificial intelligence, all kinds of tests and imagining all kinds of scenarios.
Yeah, people cannot compete with computers or artificial intelligence in all the data to be analyzed. The computers always will do better. So, and about creativity, it's also interesting how algorithms today can create music and create like videos and animations just out of nowhere. Like I've heard some music and it was composed by algorithm, and you cannot tell the difference between real human or not.
Yeah, I've seen like even poetry or something like that.
Mm.
Yeah, so I think even in the field of creativity, you can find something. Sasha, do you think there is any job that cannot be automated?
Yeah, I don't know. I can't think of something.
I mean by job, I mean something that it's useful for our society, because it's like you may say whatever, like I don't even know what to think of in this society. There are so many crazy jobs that maybe a haircut, like a hairstylist or something. Maybe that is difficult to automate.
Prostitution.
I don't think so. I think they have many ideas when it comes to prostitution, virtual reality and other stuff like that.
Probably will be first thing fully automated soon.
So you see, that's interesting, because if you think like what cannot be automated, not what can be automated, you struggle just to find. You will find some examples, but the idea is that you may struggle, because you know that driving and even most parts of research or producing goods and services and distributing them, they are pretty much automated already. You know that. Dima, you're kind of losing your connection.
Oh yeah.
Is it only for me or?
Yeah,
me too. No, it's better.
It's better.
Okay. Yeah,
I think like. Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, go on, Alex.
I think like processes, like things that would be very difficult to automate is things that are multidisciplinary or require like different combinations of different technologies and different methods to solve. So for example, like if if we have a computer that robots would solve everything, right? So we have a new problem, right? I have a disease. Okay, I have we were talking about the skin disease. Okay, I have a skin disease, for example, and I need it to be solved. So a robot can analyze, my skin, and the algorithm can arrive at conclusion that this is something new, that we still don't have a solution for it. Okay, and then it's the robot would like try different ideas of how to solve it. Maybe we need to develop a new material, a new paste that would solve it, or maybe we need to develop some new type of radiation to deal with it, or something like that. And then the robot would say, okay, I don't know. I would simulate it in my head and try to think of what would be better, right? And then this robot need to understand, like, to simulate an entire, skin cells and how each material would react. And then the robot would come to a decision, okay, I don't know the basic physics of it well enough. I need to research now quantum physics, quantum mechanics in order to understand how each particle behaves in order to find a solution. And, this robot might go, and do research and build a particle collider, and, it would take years.
No,
and
I don't think that's how it is.
You need to mine new resources to solve it. It can converge, So I think these kind of problems that need many different disciplines, and it might require not only software but also robots to perform these activities. This is something that would take a lot of time to automate, maybe a few generations.
But they do this already. You don't have to have one computer system that goes to so many steps. They are divided into sections. You don't have to look at, for a skin disease, at atoms. You only have to look at studies, clinical studies, and see, in this study this cream was used, what are the results? These are the results. In this study, these are the results. You combine all of that and see.
Yeah, but it is new. You still don't have this research. You need to do research, so you need to decide which kind of research to do. And you have, you probably have limited resources. So you think, okay, maybe I'll do this research first, and then that one. And I need to, and then we have like 10 ideas how to solve a problem. A robot can have millions of ideas how to solve a problem. So. But
there's always one problem that is one solution that is statistically better to try, or even if there are 3 of them, and computer comes with them and you test them. That's what they do today in many fields, not only this in chemistry, in physics.
I feel like I'm playing the devil's advocate.
I know, that's good.
Make discussion more.
But that's very good. I really like that. It's more interesting like that. We shouldn't agree with each other here. We should question stuff.
Yeah.
Dima, if you want, you can close and you can come back, because it's your video. It's really, your signal is bad. If you want to.
I see him now.
Yeah, I'm also losing signal time to time, trying to figure out.
I hear you well. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's interesting about automation, because you don't have to take the entire society and automate it. You have to automate it in a way that you rely on fewer and fewer people. That's the idea. I don't think you can automate maybe human interactions the same way that maybe a psychologist, maybe teachers, maybe you cannot automate that. But you can make some alternatives. But if the idea is to rely less and less on people, because people need food, people have moods. People have relationships, so it's better to have slaves, not humans, but machines. That's the best. Imagine Karl Marx, for example, if he thought he will see today's world in the technological capabilities, he will say, "Wow, I'm sure you live in paradise, because you have so many machines that create everything." But yet we don't. We don't. We still have to trade for everything, even if there is an abundance of stuff. Recognition is is better now, I think.
Yeah, in the same way we have these technologies, but still, if we look at let's say Bangladesh or Indonesia, where all, let's say, factories of making clothes are situated, where all the big brands making the clothes, there's still all of the people there. They're working with hands. It's all basically handmade. They don't have these machines and technologies which are in abundance in developed world. But still, until the moment it's cheaper, to hire those people who do it by hand, we will do it, even if we have the technologies now.
Yeah, and people argue that.
Yeah, soon we reach this point when the technology will become better, not better, but cheaper, to produce stuff. Then it will be applied everywhere. Sadly.
Yeah, and I was going to say, and people argue that that's a good thing because it brings jobs to the poor people.
Yeah, like 14 hours a day for $2.
Force them into slavery. Yeah.
pretty much any product is made on the backs of poor people in all kinds of countries. But they will automate those jobs soon if it's cheaper.
Yeah, as soon as they reach this point when automation will become cheaper, they will do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think that's one part of, you know, our consumer conversation earlier. I think a lot of people don't really think about where this product comes from, where, you know, was there abuse involved in it? Because almost everything, almost every product, you look at it, the whole line, and there is, you know, whether it's abuse of people or the environment, pollution, whatever, waste.
We are detached because you see the product in a flashy wrapper and
yeah. And for the holidays, it's like you're buying these products for somebody else, you know. And these people, they don't need any of this crap, you know. Like you just buy them whatever, just to buy them something because that's what society tells you should do for the holidays. And then people end up with just a bunch of more useless crap, and it just contributes more to all this waste and
Isn't it ironic that they are called like holy days, but there's nothing holy in them?
Yeah,
they are consumer days.
Yeah,
pretty much any celebration of the year. I think there are a few of them that are more rare, maybe religious, that are not based or revolving around consuming, but most of them are about consuming. Gifts are about going places. Tourism is huge nowadays. It's and products everywhere, Black Fridays and stuff like that. There is no way to escape.
Yeah, everything's about consumerism.
Yeah. So
I think like one of the real like drawbacks of money and monetary system and trade is that it sort of launders the all the emotional stuff. Okay, you know, you have a dollar, you know, maybe someone was a slave or was murdered for this dollar, but you know, you have it. Okay, you buy with it a cup of, I don't know, juice. Okay, so like it sort of launders everything that happens in society. Okay, it's like you don't get the emotions of people that, you know, worked really hard for the product that you're seeing or the dollar that you're holding, right? So like that's a real issue, you know. There's like a separation between me and all the people that, you know, you know, sunglasses. Okay, so there was someone that manufactured the sunglasses, and there's someone that the manager that managed the company that manufactured this, and someone that delivered it to a store, and someone that works in the store and manages the store and cleans the store, and, you know, cleans the toilet in the store, and some that mined, you know, the resources that were used to cover these glasses with a cover. And, you know, there's so many things, and there are probably like millions of people, I don't know, or hundreds of people that were enslaved or maybe killed in the process, or, you know, died or something like that. But I only see these glasses. I don't see where they came from. Yeah, so like there's no transparency in something like that, and that's a real problem, I think, with monetary system and trade.
Yeah, and people feel like they form more identity with the actual product than they do with the people that slaved to make that product.
But let's see, we know, you know, that this is transparent. There isn't much that we can do, or there isn't much that is going to change in our society, because you cannot force a company to like respect the workers, because that company has a lot to lose and they will find loopholes. Actually, that's what they are trying to do. So many organizations around the world are going after such big companies, hunting them and say, look what Apple is doing. And Apple is like, fuck off, you know, I don't give a fuck. Like, you push me away from China, I will go to some other place. Loopholes.
And sadly, also the certification, you know, the thing with which we came up to, you know, improve well-being of other peoples, let's say like fair trade or conflict-free minerals, that also doesn't work. I mean, they work on papers, but in reality, if we take like fair trade, there's so many. I mean, you buy a product and it's been fair trade. You pay more because you think, okay, the people will, you know, will get more money, because by the in the rules of this certification, the plantation where food is grown, they should provide like at least minimal wage. They should provide the, you know, decent living and clean water and everything. So like we as consumers in Europe or in the States, we pay more with this money. Okay, we're kind of helping people, but in reality, many of this is just labels. There was like many investigation when people just go there to this fair trade, crop fields, and they see like such poverty. They still workers are underpaid. They live in terrible conditions and so on. Nothing had changed, and yeah. So certifications kind of works for some percentage, yeah, but mainly it's on a paper, and it's mainly for us.
Rules.
That,
Rules
we're kind of, yeah, because we are detached. We don't see what's really happening, who really was, grown this, potato for me or whatever. Yeah, we don't realize that.
And a lot of resources, they come from a long line that you can't even track. Take like tin and tantalum, for example. You have like little tiny mines, and then the resources get compiled, smelted into a smaller, little shop. Then that gets into another shop. It's like impossible to track all of this and see what's actually going on. And at the bottom of the line, you see like little children, in very dangerous conditions digging for minerals.
Yeah, exactly.
That Fairphone documentary, I think, it's perfect for this. Like making the Fairphone, they wanted to create a phone that's created in like from production to distribution is fair. And if we have this documentary on video on it, you can watch it. And the guy who started this, he became so disappointed because he just couldn't fix it. He couldn't track like every other chain, every other part in the chain of production and distribution. He realized that it's so big, so convoluted, that I don't think you can force this. That's why I'm always focusing almost like dogmatic on this thing with trade, because whenever there is this force of trade, you just cannot make people honest. You cannot. You can put laws, you can show people, oh look, those slaves are making your chocolate. Yeah, I think I will be impressed by that in a week or so, but then the holidays are coming, we eat chocolate in our family, so we are going to buy some chocolate. I'm going to like, fuck it, I'm not going to care anymore, me, the consumer. I'm not going to. Because I know even people who say, oh, eat more vegetables, because eating livestock, it's a mess, and they're right, it's a mess, it's a huge problem. But even if you look at the vegetables, the industry, you will see so many slaves working on plantations. It's the same. It's not like a solution. Maybe it's much better than livestock, but it's still a huge pile of shit.
Yeah, so what you can do? Not to consume, not to eat.
Yeah, you shouldn't buy anything.
I mean, on a personal level, you can, just buy used stuff and go to the local market as much as possible. But I mean, you have no choice but to.
Yeah, that also depends where you live and what options are there. Not
but most places, I mean, I've lived from anywhere from like Australia to Hawaii to Siberia, and everywhere I can find something local. I mean, but again, you can't go all the way and buy everything.
We even here we have lots of local like the plantations, and you will see people from Africa. They come here and they work pretty much like slaves. It's local, but it's still a business in the end. And I know it's demoralizing when you think like that. Oh fuck! So now we are fucked. We cannot do anything about it. I think we have to be realistic. If you want to do this for yourself, and I think it's great. But we have to be realistic that it's very likely to have any big impact. So we have to educate people about what is the problem. Like that's what we do to TROM documentary. Maybe I use open source. Maybe I will become a vegetarian. But I will never think that, oh, I'm going to change the world just because I use open source or I'm becoming a vegetarian or buy shit that is not from big companies. I don't think that's ever going to work. Unfortunately, it would be so cool if you could all gather and be like, you know what? Fuck Apple. Let's not buy from them, This is never going to happen. This is like a dream.
Yeah, they're too good at controlling minds. And so long as they have that power, they will do that. They'll control the masses.
Yeah, I think Apple is easier to give up on compared to, giving up on food.
But even that is not easy. Can you see? It's not that easy for many people.
Yeah.
And actually, it's not also really possible. I will give example of the cigarette industry. And so like at first when it started mainly in America and developed countries, it was it was promoted as healthy. There was like doctors and others suggesting to smoke and everything. So then after some times when the researchers starts to came up, of what the consequences of with people come with the lung cancer and stuff so on. So people become more educated in Europe and Americas. So the market started to go down, the profit of the companies go down. So what they did, they just moved to other countries. So now if you look at the stats, all the developed countries, they've got like a huge decline in consumption of cigarettes. Yeah. But there's huge rise in all the third world countries like China is huge, and India and so on. So they kind of move the problem from one country to another. So all the activists, all government policies, bans, and taxes rise on cigarettes. They actually did nothing. They just move the problem from one place to another. But that's not the end of the story. So now they came back. All these main corporations like there's like China Tobacco, like BAT, British American Tobaccos. They're basically 5 companies which controls 80% of the market. But now they came back to all the developed countries with a new product, which is electronic cigarettes. Yeah. Now instead of smoking, they're vaping.
I could have predicted that.
Yeah, and it's so funny. And all of this, at first, some other small, like there was inventor, I think it was Japanese guy, if I'm not, he invented this cigarettes, and they kind of, it was like a niche market and everything. And as soon as these big brands realized that, they start to, produce their own electric cigarettes. They start to buying those small brands of the electric cigarettes. And now basically they control 2 markets, and both markets are growing. And that was that's on the question, how can you change something?
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
The same company now profits from 2 sides. It's even better for them now. So
push them in a corner and then they jump into another corner.
Yeah.
That's
so that's the thing. Like, what can you change? What can you do? And I just know this because I'm doing research. Like this week I was researching this cigarette industry, and it feels like if you in Europe, you think, okay, it's so much better now. We like it's in most of the countries it's forbidden to smoke in the public places, and there's like high taxes, and there's like a lot of awareness campaigns and everything. So I think, we as a society, we decided, okay, it's bad for our health. It's there's like today it's 3 million of deaths around the world are happening because of the cigarettes. And almost 1 million of passive smoking. That's weird. Like almost 1 million of passive smoking. This means if somebody like in your family smokes, or you just in a places.
You mean a day?
No, like globally, a year.
A year.
Yeah. So and you think as a society, we're educated enough, we just throw away this problem, and it kind of does. Yeah. Like the consumption is really going down in developed countries, but in reality we haven't do nothing. We just move this problem to other place, and then
we just continue.
Yeah,
we continue moving more and more problems to the third world.
Yeah, that's what's happening.
Yeah, and then profiting off that. That's so fucked up. And
then you just have this simple choice, simple question, like what I can do. I mean, I don't know what you as individual can do to change something.
I think it could be even a worse idea to say, I have a solution for what you can do, and if that is not a solution because it's like you're selling snake oil, instead you have to be realistic and be like, okay, I know what the problem is, I don't know what the solution is, because that pushes people to search for solutions. It's not like we can, it's such a complicated, maybe it's the most complicated problem we ever have to face as a society. It's not, I don't expect for someone to come and say, I have the solution, the solution. I don't think that's possible in any domain.
Yeah, we just need to move somewhere saner. A little bit.
I think we have to understand the problem, and as soon as we understand the problem, there will be solutions. That's how the entire world works. you understand the problem, you will come up with solutions. There's a documentary that we are going to make in the next year. We're going to focus exactly on this, and let's see how it goes, because I want to ask people, as I said, from around the world, if I can, to ask them what is the problem, what do you think creates the problem, and then develop on that idea. And that at the end, I want to see people, what would they do if they had access to everything. Because I think we have this mentality in our society that people will be so fucking lazy. They will do nothing. They will just stay and play video games. They do that now because companies make them like, hey, it's so cool to play video games.
No, they do this now because the only motivation for them to go to work is money. And if there's no money, they have nothing to do. They don't know what to do with their time.
Yeah. Do you see that, Alex? For example, where you work, do you see people there being motivated by money or being motivated by what they are doing, like you are, for example?
I barely know any people that do what they do because that's what they want to do. Like I usually ask people, okay, if you wouldn't need money anymore, okay, you have enough money for the rest of your life, what would you do tomorrow? I still haven't met the person that said, okay, I'll do the same thing I did today, okay? Like maybe one person.
Me too, and Dima maybe too.
Yeah, but it's pretty rare. Okay, like it's pretty rare that you have something like that. So people are motivated by greatly by money, you know.
Yeah.
It's
all they know.
It's funny. I always ask people that. Every week I ask like everyone I go hiking with.
And what
I'm working
do they
as a guide
say?
sometimes. They would quit their job, straight away, and most of them want to travel.
Yeah, because I'm curious what people say that they will do afterwards. Like, okay, I'm not going to work here, but what are you going to do?
Well, actually, I had a really good discussion about this when I was doing I did like discussions on the TROM documentary in Irkutsk, and I had one where like 20 people showed up, and I asked everybody what they would do if they got like $5 billion. And like the first like 10 people were like straight away they went to quitting their jobs and doing something really good for like helping children, like science research, anything that helps society. And so I think people naturally want to help, want to do something to contribute to society, but the system's really in the way. Because what happened was the first 10 people said that, and then we got to one guy who was like, oh, $10 billion. I mean, you have to first invest that money to make sure that you keep on getting more money. Like it wasn't enough. You know, so it's like the society always just pushes people to need to make more. So it's just completely in the way of like, you know, him being able to to actually do anything useful. And then the whole discussion got all confused. But generally, I find that people want to do something to help other people.
There will always be troublemakers in any kind of society, but the idea is how the majority of people will be. Today, majority of people need to be very competitive and very individual for themselves or their families. That's what we care about, to change the majority, to change the society where the majority is not like that. It's more like altruistic and more like their values won't be related to trades. Let me see what I can get out of this. Let me see what I can get out of this, because it will fuck things up. And
consumption too.
Yeah, but yeah, because that's the thing. Like I want more stuff. I want to give stuff to others, or my services, or my stuff. And I think if you interview people today from all around the world, I think you will find many unhappy people, because regardless of their job, I think it was even a study that shows that like 60 or 70% of people hate their jobs. Not only dislike them, but hate them. And if you think about it, it's so fucking normal. Of course, how the fuck can I love my job if you force me to go there and do some stuff? You know, as I always say, I love to watch the stars with my telescope. But if someone will say, I will give you 2,000 euros a month, but you wake up at 7 or whatever, you watch the stars every night and you come back and you say whatever stars you saw and shit like that, fuck me, like in 3 months I will be like, fuck those stars, fuck them. I mean, I want to do something else. It's just, you cannot force me to do that. It's to me so crazy. That's abnormal in my view. It's abnormal as a society to force people to do something that they don't want, to get something in return, to then what? Buy shit, buy a car, a house, and that's all it is.
And it's funny, I have a friend from that grew up in Papua New Guinea, and he grew up just in the jungle. Just, you know, you're hungry, get some fruit, shoot an animal. And at one point he went to Australia because of some crazy stuff. And it was the biggest problem for him to be able to understand and overcome was to figure out how this whole system works, you know, that you have to trade your time and energy for some kind of money to then go to a store to buy food that's already killed and prepared and, you know, there for you. And if you think about it, it's not natural at all. I mean, if you
it was a necessary thing for big societies to evolve. It was a necessary thing because we couldn't go like every one of us to hunt and to build their own house. But today it's based on our technology capabilities. I think it's obsolete. I think it's obsolete. It's a primitive
and
system.
It's gone mad too.
Yeah.
I think a lot about like so for example, if everyone on Earth now adopted the views that we're talking about now, right, and just say fuck, you know, monetary system, trade, and everything, then there would be chaos for a while, right? Because like things that we rely on now might, you know, stop working. You know, like agriculture. You know, it would become more random because there are nothing to replace it. We still don't have these decentralized systems and everything. It would need to be built and tested, and it would take time and stuff like that. So I think it would create chaos for a while. So like I think a lot about like how is it possible to transition, you know, in a safely manner, you know, in like, for example, if we take technological breakthroughs like mobile phones, right? There was not violent revolution, you know, chaos, you know, everyone killing each other. You know, there was like, at first some people started using them, and then the technology evolved more and more people using it. Now, like, everyone living in these phones, right? So it's like it's totally changed the way we live, but, you know, it wasn't, you know, sudden, and it wasn't very, you know, chaotic. So I wonder, like, how we can transition to a better society in a similar manner, you know. Maybe offering things that are, you know, differential. Okay, now there's this system and it solves some of the problems, and now this system is, and it grows, you know, gradually or stuff like that. I think a lot about that.
Go back to open source. If they will say, if you transition right now to open source, we don't have software for printers, we don't have software for this, we don't have software because everything is proprietary. Nothing can work like that. It has to be pushed through society to evolve. It's no way to think like, what would we do from tomorrow if we will everyone will think like that. This is unrealistic because
for example, like maybe YouTube would stop working, okay, and Jitsi.org would stop working, you know, because I don't know, some people that produce servers for these companies or host these servers or whatever, you know, they want to do something else. And now, like, we don't have a way to collaborate now as we used to, and like, so it can create a lot of problems. And now we need to, you know, say people, hey, like, we need YouTube, okay? And everyone says, hey, we need YouTube, and now we say, okay, we'll develop something that's, you know, that decentralized. There's some decentralized YouTube, but it's only for live broadcast. Yeah, so there can be still a period where there are a lot of, you know, chaos and this coordination. Okay, and I think that, like, maybe in order to make it more, the transition more less sudden, then we would need to develop these kind of systems and tools and gradually, you know, help alternatives. And it's being done, like blockchain and stuff like that, this technology that's, like, you know, that's helpful in that manner because it is decentralized and can support all that stuff.
Always has to evolve. It always has to. You cannot imagine that we are going to transition. In my mind, there is no transition, because transition to me means like we go from point A to point B, but I honestly don't know what point B is. It's almost like, again, to open source, they will say, how can we transition to an open source world? I don't even know what that means in 1980s. I have no idea. Do you mean servers? Do you mean YouTube? What is YouTube in 1980s? You cannot, I don't think you can project it like that. It's just, it will evolve, and for that, for like say YouTube, to get rid of YouTube, of course, in theory, you need an alternative, first of all. So people migrate to that. But in today's world, that's almost impossible to apply because YouTube has so much power. So you need alternatives, but you need power to push those alternatives. And you need education for people to understand why this solution is better than YouTube. You see, maybe we need a good dictator, like I sometimes say, like someone who says, hey, listen to me for 10 years, okay? You do exactly what I say. And we do it like that. I don't know exactly how to do this.
Yeah, maybe transition is not the best word for it. You're right. If evolution or no, so it doesn't have like a defined end or goal, but you know, it's a process.
Yeah, the change has to be gradual. It's not going to be like tomorrow everyone's going to understand this, and you know, regardless, it's going to be gradual. Yeah. And it can't be imposed.
But it's the interesting thing that we've got alternative almost in every field and in every subject already today. It's just what Theo said, that we don't have power, enough power to move those, you know, dominant players like YouTube, Google, or it's not only in internet technologies, education. Like everywhere. You know, we've got like everywhere alternative, and there's lots of them. People have got millions of ideas. The problem is that we cannot, you know, to kind of, I don't want to use word advertise, but kind of reach the people, you know, with these ideas, because, you know, the major players, they basically gonna control all the markets. And
yeah, I think one way in my mind is like maybe to countries, because they still kind of have some power to push, like maybe say open source, push that and say, okay, our institutions are going to use open source, or push like other kinds of alternative educational system. It's unfortunate that this is the only power that you have over companies. Even this is extremely influenced by companies, but that's one way. If it can be done in a way some tried, I know it's
and you know, yeah, because they're so powerful and have so much resources, as soon as they see some competitor, some alternative competitor, they will buy it. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the task here is to make these ideas popular. You
know? Yeah.
So influence as many people as possible.
Yeah, but what I wanted to address, that actually there's alternative to almost everything you can imagine. Really, if you just go and research for any topic, like most of it, there are really alternatives.
Even entertainment.
Just nobody knows about it. Like everything, really.
Yeah.
Music and.
Yeah, totally everything. In physical world, in digital world.
But what I will try to do with TROM is to make sure that when we say, okay, if people will know about such ideas, I want to take that thing that we say such ideas and make it very simple. Because if you say, okay, what do we want? Well, we want like a resource-based economy, and we want for people to have a free access and stuff like that. I think you lose it. You don't have the pitch line, the core, the essence of this project, or the idea itself. Like people will ask you, so what the fuck do you want, you know, in the end? What do you want? You want for people to live well, and like what? You want to grow food, decentralized, open source. All of these ideas will make people very confused, because from my experience I can tell. That's why I'm obsessed with this idea of trade, to make it so simple and say to people, hey, look, all that we do in our society is trade. My skills, my stuff, my shit, whatever. If this force is a force that creates an imbalance, that's why we trade. Because if there will be no imbalance, it's sharing, basically. And I will push this idea. I will say trade is the problem. I don't know what the solutions are. I will give you 100 kinds of solutions, but I don't care to give you any solutions. Just think about this trade. It's like a fucking virus, and we have to take it somehow. And there are many organizations who are taking it somehow, from open source to volunteers to citizen scientists to maker spaces. They are taking it away, and things are working. And I find this path this is what I'm going to promote all the time to Tom. I find this like a realistic way to look at things. Instead of saying we want this, we want to open source. No, we want to get rid of the problem, because it's like saying I want to fix cancer, but you forget about that. You say, we use CRISPR technology, let's use stem cell therapies, let's use, but what are you trying to do? And to me, in my mind, after many years focusing on this and working with other organizations, I feel like this is the best approach. Don't focus on the solution, always focus on the problem, and solutions will come. You can provide alternatives, but always educate people. What's the problem? This is what the problem is. What's the problem? This is what the problem is. And I can give you many examples of how this works in so many domains, from healthcare to technology. Like I give you example with open source. The only thing that keeps open source together is their distaste of proprietary software. Else they will be gone. They won't know what they are doing if they are not motivated by that. Like, fuck this proprietary software, that's a bad idea. That creates open source, if you understand what I'm trying to say. If not, I will explain in the book in great detail in the last parts, so in the documentary as well. That's my... What do you think about this idea of focusing on problem, on the problem rather than on a solution? I am curious to hear.
I think that the trade, like targeting trade, might be difficult for people to digest, because like it's, if you just eliminate trade, people think, okay, like but how like I make people how would others do the stuff that I need? Okay, whether it's cures, food, cleaning, bicycle, whatever. Okay, people would be like, you're taking the ground beneath their feet, you know. So like, and also, how do you know that there is no peaceful way to do trade, or maybe a trade can be something that we transition with into a more idealistic society, right? So like, and people might think that you say, okay, trade is root of a problem, we need to get rid of it now, just throw it into the trash, and no, we'll try to manage without it. So that this is something that might be difficult to digest, I think. Maybe like focusing on trade specifically is it can be challenging. Okay, maybe like talking about the root problems, which is like why we suffer. Okay, or like I don't suffer directly from trade. I suffer because I don't know. If I don't gain money, I wouldn't have food or shelter.
So
okay. Yeah, maybe. Okay, but I can like I can maybe I can gain money in some way, and then I have shelter and food for my entire life. Okay, so I can find maybe solutions for my problems, and so
you got rid of trade and
yeah. So I think people would think that, okay, I'd find a way to live with trade, because giving up on trade, I would have to give up on a lot of things that I'm used to in my life. Okay, or maybe give up temporarily. Maybe eventually someone would do it voluntarily. Okay, the things that I need, but it would take 10 years. I don't know, but like I need bicycles now.
Yeah,
or
but it's
good.
You make people think like,
okay,
without trade, how am I going to get a bicycle without trade or whatever? That's what I want to do, to make people think about this.
Yeah,
so maybe they will come up with solutions, because if they look at solutions, they don't understand the problem. What is the solution if you don't have a problem?
I think the good way of simplifying is to hook people. Usually when you have some short conversation with the persons you don't really know, and if you start, I'm talking about my experience, and if you start talking about them, about resource-based economy and stuff like that, they just get bored and they just get the topic and they kind of, yeah. But if you can to make something simple, let's say, trade, and give them kind of really simplify all this information, that might stick to them, and then they will research deeper, and if they're interested there. The way I wanted to say, it's more chances to get people involved in the conversation when you try with some simple topics.
Or, take advantage of whatever they're complaining about, because people are always complaining about something, and usually it has something to do with trade.
Yeah.
So Yeah, I try to explain
And
it to
it
people.
gives you
It's tough sometimes. I mean, it's tough sometimes because people are like, what? No trade? So you're like a anarchist, something, you know? And they always want to put a label on you.
Yeah, like communist.
yeah, but yeah, that's why you have to know from different kind
There's
of domains.
there's trade in communism. There's
Yeah.
still trade in communism.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think that's what another reason why I focus on this is because it gives you a path forward. For example, if someone gives me 5 billion now, I can both educate the population about this idea and I can create trade-free goods and services. It gives me with something to attack the world in a way, to change the infrastructure and to change the education rather than focusing on a solution. I will think about thousands of solutions, software that will be trade-free, housing maybe that will be trade-free, healthcare and so forth. And through solutions and educations, you combine the both and you push this society forward. That's why I'm sticking with this idea rather than a solution. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think like I can give an example of like what I said. If tomorrow we all humans decide to give up on trade, we would still have problems. Okay, the problems won't disappear. We would need to create some mechanism of solving these problems, and know what we said. We develop stuff open source and do stuff voluntarily. But it's not like the problems would disappear suddenly, right? There would still be problems around the world,
Yeah.
and we would have other problems of organizing or coordinating our actions. Which without trade, we would need to find a way to do it. So it would take time, and it can be a lot of time. That's why people might take this idea of trade, giving up on trade as, you know, it wouldn't solve the problem. It would solve some problems, but it create other problems. So that's why I think maybe it wouldn't convey like
But the
very well
idea is making it obsolete. Not giving up on trade, just making trade obsolete. That's the idea. So you don't have to trade, and you take organizations like I explained. Take any kind of organization, and you say the problem with this organization is trade. How can you make it trade free? Maybe through donations, maybe through taxes, maybe whatever, volunteers. I don't care, but you make that trade free. Like Linux, for me, I don't care if Linux is sponsored by whoever or it's relies on volunteers or whatever. If it's a trade-free project service for me, that's what I care. And the more such projects that we create, and you don't have to create from scratch. There are so many projects who need your help. If you had like money, pump into them, let them create those trade-free services. The more that we create, the more we will change the infrastructure and the education, because people will understand what the problem is. That's my view on it.
Yeah, so for example, like the open source and decentralization, this is ideas that are very easy for people to digest, okay? Like in general, it's becoming more and more popular. Yeah, today it's becoming like sharing economy. It's something becoming popular, and in the past it was considered like, what, I'm going to share my bicycle or car? No way. And now it's like, okay, fine, it's 10 times cheaper. Yeah, I'll do it. Okay, and open sourcing, like suddenly people see huge projects that are open source, and it's like, yeah, that's a great idea. So people are easier for them to accept these kind of ideas. So if like we say, okay, these are the ideas that we should encourage and make them more stronger or more central in our life, then it's like sort of a transition period. But like saying that we give up on like trade, this is, or make it obsolete. Okay, so we would still need to like take care of a lot of other stuff. Yeah, I don't know. It was very difficult for me to accept this idea, and I'm already, like I'm in it. I'm already, know the ideas like of the Venus project for many years, and TROM also and stuff like that. But even like for me, it's difficult still to digest this idea of giving up on trade.
Just making it obsolete again. Because if you say giving up on trade, maybe some people will understand like we have to give it up, and now what? But if you say let's make it obsolete, you imply a solution, like something has to happen in order for the trade to become obsolete. So
it's like as long as you have to force people to do something, right? Okay, so you still sort of need trade, right? Like, unfortunately, like everything that's around us and the computer that I'm using and the software that's developed, that we use and everything, it's all like people were forced to create this stuff. Okay, but like we need it and we use it, and so
except the greatest scientific discoveries from Galileo to Darwin to Einstein.
A lot of things were.
There are many things were just in a sense trade free, like their discoveries were shared with the world. If you could put like a price on Einstein's theories and only sell to rich countries, that would be like a really shitty situation.
Yeah, but even Einstein, he needed food and shelter and laboratory equipment and stuff like that. So this was based on forcing people to do stuff that they don't like.
Yeah,
okay,
but that's what I'm trying to explain with the project, because to make it realistic, don't think about the entire chain. Think about only the service itself or the product. If the healthcare for me is trade free, or for the entire population, let's say food is trade free, everybody has access. We don't care if it's made like whatever is made. Maybe it's made on the backs of slave people, or maybe it's made by donations. That's another problem on its own. But the service itself is trade free, so the service itself will probably be like a good service and useful for many people, because it will feed many people. And this way you can go step by step in many different areas. They tried this with taxes, actually. That's an old idea, but I wrapped it in a different kind of way. They tried this. They tried this with taxes to create all kinds of natural parks, for example. And they say all people can go here to watch the nature. They can try to do that with healthcare. It's the same kind of thing. They think, let's make it as free as possible for people. That's just an idea for this world, how they try to do this with this world. The idealistic will be this trade free, whatever. If I have, give me 5 billion and I will show you my ideas, because I have so many. What I will do with this. Yeah. Oh man, okay. Do you want to continue, or we can?
Were there any comments, questions, anything?
Yeah, I don't know.
I will probably go soon, since
You're sleepy.
I'm still used to it being like 5 in the morning or something.
Yep. Well, we can. It was very interesting. I love that Alex participated, because he's like, no, I want you to explain. No, I don't. Maybe this doesn't make sense. Maybe. No, that's good. That's always good. I like that. It makes ideas more stronger. It's perfectly fine for people to ask.
No problem. Anytime.
Yeah, maybe we can.
Otherwise, the three of us agree too much.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea of these open discussions, and maybe others would join. I think someone tried, but they haven't succeeded. Maybe need to instruct people with the feedback.
Maybe we will try to make these open discussions more often. It's also, it can be like sometimes deviate so much from the subjects, so maybe people who watch may not realize what this is all about, but it's very interesting to discuss, because I'm sure next time the open discussion will migrate to the same kind of questions and debates, I'm sure, because you have this tendency. It's normal.
You guys know what you want to discuss next week?
I have no idea. I'm so busy with other stuff that I didn't think. Like, Dima, do you have any idea? We have so many subjects.
No, not yet. But we will find one. It's not a problem to find.
Yes, discuss something. Okay then.
Yeah.
We can close this chat. Thank you, Alex.
Yeah, thank you, Alex, for joining.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
It was fun.
Okay, bye-bye.
Okay, see ya.